Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Christy, and on today's video I'm going to be installing Kilmat Sound Deadener in my van. I did have to clean everything out and get it back down to the shelf so that I can put the sound deadener in both below the subfloor and then before I put the insulation in. So stick around if you want to see how I do it. All right, before I get started putting it on the walls, I wanted to tell you first why I chose Kilmat. There are several different brands out there. This happens to be the most cost effective for me in the application that I want. There are several different strengths, I guess you would call it, of Kilmat. I got the 50 mil, it's cheaper and it's not as thick as the 80, but I am going over the top of it with 3M Thinsulate, which has sound deadening properties as well. So some people may think that it's redundant to use both. I decided to go ahead with the redundancy, even if it's just minimal. It's very loud in the van, so anything that I can do to sort of help that, I'm on board with that. The cool thing about this sound deadener is that depending on what expert you look at, you only have to cover between about 15 to 25% or 30%, some people say, of the van itself. So I'm not completely covering the entire interior. Number one, it would be a lot of weight, but number two, it's just not necessary. So the only thing that I'm going to cover fully is going to be the wheel wells. Everything else will just be a percentage of the van itself. So let's go ahead and jump into it. I'm just going to get started with the big sections first. The ones that I'll have to cut, I'll do all those last, but let's just go ahead and get started. As you can see here, it does have an adhesive back to it, so you'll peel this paper off. It's my understanding that it's better not to peel the whole thing off at once. It's kind of better to peel it off as you're applying it to the wall. So never having done this before, we're going to see how this goes on the first try, and then we may have to get a little better as we go. Here we go. And they say to press out any air bubbles you can by hand, and then you can roll it. So as you can see, it has a very textured surface on it. So you will need a roller to roll it out, and the way that you know that you've done it correctly is the surface is then completely smooth. And one thing that I found just from the few pieces I've already installed is that it works a little bit better if you go ahead and smooth it out with your hand as you're putting it on. Let me see this okay. As I'm putting it on, I'm smoothing out any air bubbles as I go. And that seems to make the process a little smoother whenever I get to rolling it. There's no extra air bubbles in there. So about halfway through the process, I decided to just go ahead and stick all of these pieces up and just roll the edges for right now. And then I'll come back with a roller and just roll them all completely out in a little bit. So now that I've finished all my big pieces, it's time to cut the pieces for up around the top, and then I'll do the ceiling and the floor. But I wanted to show you the Kilmat, it cuts very easily. Let me show you that with just scissors. So you just mark where you want and it cuts really, really easy. So I just cut that into thirds, and I'll put these little pieces all around the top of the van, and then I'll get started on the ceiling shortly. Okay, here's my tip for the day. When I emptied the van out, I took everything out, but I left a couple of these magnetic spice racks that I had, and I have been using them, moving them around wall to wall, and I can just set my tools in them when I'm working on it. I'm not having to search on the ground or to look to find where I actually put them. So this thing's actually been really handy. So can I just tell y'all that putting this on the ceiling is a beating. I'm 5 foot tall. Everything, well, for anybody, it's going to be over your head, but everything is up here for me. I'm on a little stool. I bet I cannot move my shoulders tomorrow. So I just want to give you guys a reference. You can see obviously this piece has not been smoothed out, and this is what it looks like once you roll it out. There shouldn't be much texture to it at all. So the only place that I covered completely were the wheel wells, and I mean, it's just a patch up job on here, but supposedly it makes about 95% difference when you do that, so we're going to try that and see what happens. And for those of you who are always interested in the cost, here you go. Okay, wow, what a project this was. I sure hope it was worth doing it. So I have all the Kilmat installed. I do have to still go over and roll out so many of the pieces, but I'm going to be doing that over the next few days as my arms allow. They're a little bit jello right now. So this project was not hard from a skill standpoint. It was just labor intensive, and I sure hope that it is worth every minute of it. I'm sure you'll be hearing in future videos whether or not I actually thought it was worth all the work. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and end the video now, but be watching over the next few weeks for the other projects that I have going right now. We'll be installing the subfloor and the insulation, and then I know the video that a lot of you guys have been waiting for is I'm going to reinstall the bed, and you've been wanting to see that. So just be watching out for those over the next few weeks. For now, I'm going to go rest. I hope you always remember to enjoy those little things, and I'll see you next time. So this project is not hard from a... Thank you. Thank you.